Success is never ending, failure is never final. Dream your way to unending success. So now you know success and failure, exasperation and inspiration, frustration and fulfillment, discouragement and hope. This is for you. And it is about how to make your dreams come true. When I meet people, they greet me with the usual question: Hello, Dr. Schuller, how are you? Great. I plan it that way, for success doesn't just happen, you have to plan it to make it happen. I learned this when I was a little boy. I was approaching my 5th birthday when my mother's brother, a Princeton graduate serving in the missionary of China, returned to America on furlough. We had been awaiting his arrival for months, and our simple country table, Uncle Henry was idolized. He was George Washington, he was Abraham Lincoln, he was Theodore Roosevelt, he was a hero of epic proportions. My mother was close to her younger scholar statesman brother. She was proud of Uncle Henry. He had gone from a farm on Iowa to postgraduate studies in theology at Princeton, and then in 1920s to that mystic, mysterious, and marvelous country on the other side of the earth. Carefully and his bride had packed their limited possessions in a large steamer trunk and planned a trip by train to California. Then they would board a steamer, and weeks later they were to arrive in China. Busy and bustling, struggling, suffering and striving China, land of people in black clothes, pointed straw hats and sandals. Uncle Henry was a dreamer and a doer. He was an achiever. He was a planner and a producer. He thought big. He talked big. He delivered big. So people believed him. He was listened to. He was a leader who knew what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. Uncle Henry has sent postcards year after year. I had looked at those strange photographs, so foreign to my small world of an Iowa farmhouse, barn, chicken house, hog house, conscript, an isolated settlement at the dead end of a lonely road. No wonder I was excited at Uncle Henry's homecoming. He'll be here in an hour. Harold, go get some fresh water. She always called me by middle name. With a small pail, I walked across the open farmyard to the pump that was twice as tall as I. Saluted in the flat open space, it appeared to be an iron creature with a body and a life of its own. The handle and iron, the spout its head. After a few vigorous ups and downs pushes of the handle, the water came spurting out, clean, clear, cold. The well was our family friend. Now it would give us the fresh drink we could offer our honored guests. As I walked toward the house bearing the best beverage I had ever tasted, I looked down the long, lonely, one-lane, dry, dusty farm road. Off in the distance, just this side of the horizon, I was a small cloud of dust that grew larger and longer. Coming towards our place, then I saw a black car emerge from the dust. Here's coming, Mama. He's coming, Mama. He's here. I shouted. I ran, spilling water up the splittering and unpainted wooden steps and through the screen doors across the faded and cracked linen kitchen door. Uncle Henry, come! I shouted to Mama, who it seemed to me was always in the kitchen morning, noon, night. I ran back outdoors. A small lawn composed of an old mixture of wild grasses surrounded our small 2-story White House farmhouse. A simple fence kept our house, horse and cow that might get loose. My bare feet skipped across the broken cement sidewalk where wheat grew through cracks that were also portals to vast underground chambers where millions of ants lived and worked. Now I was at the gate to wait. I could hear the car. It was Grandpa's new black 1926 Chevrolet. Everybody in the small world I knew drove Chevys of Fords, and at family gatherings, adults would heatedly argue as to which car was better. Now Grandpa was proudly chauffeuring his oldest son, Henry, sophisticated, light, world traveler, a man with a mission. The car's top clouds of dust swirled around the Ford sedan. I nervously fingered out the onkish overalls. In the pocket I kept my only earthly possession, a few precious marbles made of glass. To me they were diamonds and Rolls jewels. The card was open. So did my eyes. I was about to meet the person who was my superstar, top celebrity, sensational success. He was in my time and my world. Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Muhammad Ali. Bob Hope, Frank Sinatra, Ronald Reagan, Magic Johnson's to that day. Boy, 4 years and 11 months old, Uncle Henry was the most important person alive on planet Earth. I would be the first member of my family to see him. I was ahead of my brother and sisters who were still at school. He was handsome. He wore a suit, a white shirt, a tie. He was all dressed up like I suppose a well-educated person should be. He was energetic. I was awestruck. He bounded up to me. And staring at my flesh and blood hero, I was speechless, breathless. Then out came his booming voice. So you are Robert. Yes, you must be Robert Harold. I nodded my head. I waited. Yeah, Robert, he said. His hand was on my head. He was looking at me, his eyes close to mine. I was the only living person he knew at that moment. Then he spoke strong, clear pronouncements, a prediction, an affirmation, a prophecy. You, Robert, will be a minister when you grow up. That was all it took. Those few seconds changed my destiny. They determined my course in life. I stood staring after him, clutching my dream to my heart as Uncle Henry bounded into the arms of my sister. I was deeply, permanently impressed. He had given me a gift of far greater value than the diamonds or emeralds. In my denim pockets, Uncle Henry had come all the way from China with the greatest gift I could ever receive from anyone, a dream, a fantastic possibility. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that what I would become. After all, Uncle Henry had said it. That night I prayed my daily childhood prayer. Now I lay down me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Then I did this new line, and make me a preacher when I grow up, amen. At breakfast the next morning, I announced my dream to my parents. I wondered why Dad cried. How did my success happen? Why did my dreams come true? Does it matter? Of course. Does it make a difference? You bet. For whom only God knows. It certainly mattered and made a difference in my marriage, in my family, and in the lives of the people who were and are touched positively, redemptively, creatively by my life's efforts and achievements. So I celebrate success today. What do I know about it? How did it happen? Where have I learned that I can pass on to you? I have learned that some people seem to fall into success. Originally, it was not their intention, goal, or dream. Circumstances almost force success upon them. However, their number proportionally is small, and there is little we can learn from them. More importantly, the vast majority of high achievers made it because they wanted to. A passionate desire to achieve was a consuming drive in their life. Check them out. I have. They use phrases like my dream, my burning desire, my consuming passion, my overriding goal, my sense of destiny. I understand those people. I can relate to them, for I am one of them. For you, no matter who you are, can learn from them, and I will joyously share with what I have learned from 60 years of successful living here, then under solemn oath to the God I believe in, my witness to the world of how my dreams came true and continue to come true beautifully, naturally, nobly, joyously, like a flower emerging from seed, evolving from stem, and folding from bud. Here is how dreams come true. You and I deserve to be together today, I announced to the audience, and I was opening line. It was a lump in my throat, a tear in my eye. Why? Because I was fulfilling one of the most honored invitations that had ever come to me. It was the second time in 10 years that I have been invited to give the baccalaureate address to the graduates of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. The spectacular chapel was packed with proud relatives of the cadets. The graduating class had come from 50 states, from rich and powerful families, as well as from very poor, and more than one case, a bright young man or a girl from an impoverished home had caught the attention of the U.S. Senator. A college education would have been out of reach if the senator hadn't nominated them, but he had. They were accepted by the Air Force Academy. With the acceptance came a chance to receive a 4-year all-expense-paid college education of the highest caliber while earning a small salary. But the work was hard. The hours of studying and training were arduous, and now 4 years later they were graduating, standing tall and proud in the crisp uniform. They experienced the proudest moments in their lives. Their incredible and impossible dream had come true. A great pipe organ filled the chapel with martial music. The choir sang with resounding enthusiasm. Then it was time for me, the minister, to deliver the macro-led address. I looked across the audience and continued explaining my opening declaration. Yes, we belong together, for you and I. We are people who believe that dreams do come true. Then I briefly shared my own story of how my dreams had come true 55 years ago. When I was a little boy, my uncle Henry gave me a dream to become a minister and share an inspiring story of Jesus Christ with people. My family was poor, but we didn't know it. We often put cardboard in our shoes when the leather soles were through, leaving the hole the size of a nickel that exposed our feet to the dirt, gravel, and cement. A penny in my hand gave me a thrill almost equal to the thrill of $100 bill today. We didn't have to worry about having enough to eat. We had a garden and lived off a land. But the prospect of years and years of expensive education was another matter. I could see my audience related to that. Continuing, as said, I became a dreamer when I was barely 5 years old, hearing the call from Uncle Henry, actually from God himself, to devote my life to the ministry, even though the cost of education loomed impossible before me. My dream propelled me through high school and 4 years of college. I picked up odd jobs, worked through the summer and saved dollars and earned money while working in the polish craft factory. Somehow everything worked out until before I realized that I graduated with my college degree, just as you cadets are graduating today. Yes, my degree was a successful mountain peak in my life, as it is for you. We know that dreams come true. It took me 3 years after college to complete my postgraduate work in theology. Then I received my theological credentials and was qualified to be ordained and licensed as a minister of the Reformed Church in America. For that, when my father returned to Holland, Michigan, the same town where earlier I received my undergraduate degree. As I walked across the stage to receive my final form education credential, I noticed my father in the audience drying tears from his eyes. I remember then that my father had cried that morning when I announced at the tender age of nearly 5 that I was going to be a minister. And now on the evening of my graduation from seminary, my father shared his long and well-kept secret. I learned the truth behind the tears. When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a minister too, he said to me. But my father and mother died leaving me an orphan. I had to drop out of school after learning only how to read and write. I was forced to take on the only job I could, helping your farmer do his chores. At that point, I watched my dream of becoming the minister fade away like a beautiful cloud that I was grow larger and take shape only to disappear. I prayed about it, and I asked God to let my dream come true through a son that I hoped he would give to me. Then my dream would not die. I would come through you. It could come true through you. At that point, he looked at me weeping and said, I never dared to tell you this, Robert, because I didn't want you to become minister just to please me. It had to be God himself working in you, answering my prayers, or it wouldn't happen right. He spoke firmly and patiently. That's why I never told you why I was so thrilled when you announced as a little boy at the breakfast table that you were going to be a minister when you grew up. Today, Robert, my dream and yours has come true. We both know it was God's dream before it was ours. That, I said with a proud cadence, was a real secret of my success and of yours. For all successful dreams start in the mind of God, and here's how they evolve. Here is how dreams evolve. As it told the caddies, a success is an evolution, not an overnight achievement, journey, not a destination, an unending project, never a single simple accomplishment that stands alone, unrelated to the past, and discontented, connected from the future. Success is a never-ending process of going through good times and bad, pleasure and pains, ups and downs, ins and outs. I have observed that the successful achievement of a dream from conception to accomplishment evolves from level 1 through level 10. Level 1, the dream actually begins in the mind of God. When do dreams begin? What is the ultimate source of inspiring ideas will somehow come into the minds to command our destinies? I thought it was my dream to become a minister. Actually, as it turned out, it was my father's dream before it was mine. He believed, and I share that faith, that it was God's dream before it was his or mine. And even as my dream came true at graduation, when I became the Reverend Robert Harold Schuller, a new dream was born in my consciousness. It was a dream of finding a place in America where I could begin a church from scratch and devote my entire lifetime to that one job. So when a call came immediately after graduation to build a church in Chicago suburbs. I accepted, but after 4 years, I received another invitation. That one was to begin a church from scratch in Orange County, California. I never sought the invitation to begin the church, it came out of the blue, just as a quite and common compulsion to spend my entire life in going to church has. So at the age of 28, with only my wife and $500, I headed for California with an overpowering and overwhelming sense that I could begin a new fantastic church. But where did that dream come from? It came out of the blue. Dreams that capture our imagination and inspire our will begin in the mind of God. Level 2, God matches his dream to the dreamer. God searches for the right person to whom he can entrust the greatest gift of he can give a human being, a dream. I have an idea, a dream, he asks. How can I give it to? Who will receive it with respect, embrace it with a passion, and claim it as his own, live for it, die for it? The dreamer must be someone who will love the dream, even though it will make its dramatic entrance into that finite human mind as an awesome, impossible idea. The Almighty must find some person who will instinctively, intuitively, impulsively, passionately welcome the new dream into his heart, hugging the holy, happy possibility as something precious, a fresh love, a newborn child. To whom can God entrust his dream? The wrong person would laugh it off or ridicule the impossible dream, rejecting it out of the hand in sarcastic scorn. God must be careful where he drops the seed lest it fall on a hard ground, a mind infected with cynicism, or it might fall on shallow ground where it could sprout but later die for lack of deep soil in want of nourishment. God must avoid the mind that would welcome with instant enthusiasm the infant dream only to abandon it in times of distress. God must find the right mind to which he can send this impossible idea, someone who will receive it, respect it, reference it, search it, research it, replenish it, reward it, reproduce it. Yes, reproduce it, for no dream is ever a dream. Many apples will grow from one seed that is planted, nurtured, and nourished. So God finds a person whom he can make the steward of this. He knew an exciting creative idea. The Almighty looks for a possibility thinker somewhere on planet Earth. Some simple, ordinary person working on a street, sitting behind a desk, jogging, bathing, reading, praying, crying, laughing, suddenly gets a bright idea out of the blue. God has made his move. Contact has been made between heaven and earth. The divine creative process has asserted itself once more. Creation is eternal life, success, and unending process. The same wonderful spirit that moved in the beginning of creation, bringing life into the dead planet, brings life into otherwise dead spirits of the spark of a high, honorable vision of fabulous possibilities. At this point, the dreamer picks up the dream and runs with it. He becomes a possibility thinker. The divine dream is dedicated to. Wow, amazing. Level 3, the dream takes on a life of its own. The dream now enters its gestation period. The dreamer becomes pregnant with what will become a new life, a beautiful new creation, a glorious achievement, a wonderful accomplishment, and awesome success. God has given the dream a life of its own, like a fertilized seed, which develops through many stages to become a human being about to be born. The success cycle is on its way. Notice when success is started, it had its beautiful beginning when the dreamer accepted the dream, when a human being welcomed the uninvited, inspiring idea and embraced it as his own private possession. Do not move past that moment lightly, for that was miracle moment. How easily that young boy of 5 could have dismissed the off-the-cuff comment from a heroic uncle just arriving from China. Success begins once we start to believe in the beautiful dream that God sends us. How marvelous that our response was positive and not negative. How remarkable that the simple dream was not dismissed offhandedly as an impossibility, when in fact the moment was a meeting of a human mind with the dream of the Creator God. Once success starts, it can never stop, for success is never ending. Even the setting of the sun does not mark an end to the day that is past, for that day is given eternal life as it becomes a part of the irrevocable history. How far will the dream travel? How long will its lifespan be? With the new life that is stress in the womb go to full terms and be born to live all to normal lifespan? Or will it be aborted intentionally or accident or injury and live with miscarriage? Even so, it will be remembered positive Vaishya have instant immortality even if they die in the womb. They have left their imprint in the memory. More often than not, the idea will be reborn, renewed, and if it amounts to nothing more than a temporary collection, it will make a new impact on the human consciousness, so it isn't totally dead after all. It is really true. Success is never ending and failure is never final. So be sure of this. Once a dream has been impressed in the fertile, imaginative, dynamic mind of a possibility thinker, in that very moment something new has come into existence. Level 4, God times the evolutionary process. The fourth dimension of a dream in process is timing. Sometimes the gestation period is incredibly swift. More often it is geared to the schedule designed to teach the dreamer patience. What is the single quality that more than the other identifies those who succeed is this patience. Impatient dreamers who look for pennies, shortcuts and cheap discounts on the price of success, the failing to spot the expedient path. Unknowing impatient dreamers will too often, too easily and too painfully turn away from the divine dream. Later, when it's too late, they will discover that in choosing a pendless, easy road, they were in fact going down a primrose path to boredom, shame, emptiness, failure, poverty, if only they had not been afraid of the discipline that the dream demanded. I will never know how valuable a gift of God gave me when He presented my dream to me at such a young age, and that I would inevitably and unavoidably be forced to think in terms of decades. Nearly 20 years would pass before the mortar board and the tassel would be on my head and the glorious diploma placed trustfully and permanently into my wedding palm. The deep groove of patience was incredibly carved into my mental attitude over those years of study and struggle. By the time I stepped from the halls and academia onto the sidewalk of the world where humanity struggles and strives, I was already accustomed to taking the long look. It would be easy for me to take a 40-year look forward my dream to establishing in my lifetime a truly great church for the glory of God. Indeed, it took many years, almost a lifetime, for that dream to evolve and reach full bloom. The first 5 years of my ministry in Garden Grove, California were a steady, week after week effort to build a following by preaching from the rooftop of the snack bar of a driven theater. And the next 10 years brought the acquisition of the 10 acres of land and the construction of our first church building designed by the world-renowned architect for Church Neutro. The following 10 years saw the building of our church office complex and the facility named the Tower of Hope. This building, with its 90 foot across gleaming in the sky, became the landmark of the hope of the freeway hub of Orange County in Southern California. Success seemed to be never ending, for then came the dream of the crystal cathedral, impossible, incredible, so it seemed, but as I look back today, I can only say that nothing is too great for the God who gives impossible things. So a church that started with 2 members, $500, and the free use of a driving theater celebrated its 25th anniversary with the dedication of what has been called one of the truly great contemporary cathedrals on the planet Earth. It was a media event. It was the crowning artistic achievement of Philip Johnson, one of the greatest architects of the 20th century. Level 5. Surprising support comes from unexpected sources. The dream, which has begun in the mind of the God and is deposited in the mind of the possibility thinker, suddenly begins to accrue support from sources, senses, and souls and dreamers never knew before. The dream, like a mighty, majestic, magnetic, begins to attract help from the persons who are motivated to help inspiring dreamers achieve success. The person with the right strength, skills, and the spheres of influence come from out of the woodwork to move the dream forward, onward, and upward. Like players on the stage, these helpers make their dramatic entrances at the most propitious moments. Those who have worked closely with me, though the years have heard me say 100 times or more times, I'm a success because God sends the right people with the right support at the right time for food for hungry. So, God, that's thy dream, Food for Hungry International Incorporation. President Bina Om. with you, all is possible. Omnipotent. Amen. At this stage of the dream, God begins to build a team around it. People, power, and positive pressures will begin to move the idea from an impossibility or possibility. We begin to witness the enormous mountain moving energy that is generated when believing minds join to make a miracle happen. Level 6. Temporary setbacks and difficulties create frustration. By this time, you were probably expecting final victory, crowning achievement, solid success. Hold on, you're not there yet. My testimony is that there must be a lifetime test and trial before the great triumphant moment of stunning success. I've always experienced pain, suffering, and costly difficulties. At this stage, the dream and the dreamer experience setbacks, delays, and frustrations. This stage assures God that the dreamer will be truly humble when the crown is placed upon his head. Carefully planning strategies may fail. All options may seem to have been used up. Has the dreamer failed as of today? Yes. But he can try again tomorrow. Failure is never final. Success does not need to end. At this dismal moment of discouragement, it was. In such a moment that I wrote, when you think you have exhausted all possibilities, remember this, you haven't. People and precious obstacles will not be the same size tomorrow they are today. Faced with a mountain, that's good. What's good about a mountain? It can get any bigger. It can't get any bigger, but you can. You may need to retreat, regroup, redesign, restructure, reorganize for another assault on that steep, slippery peak. And you will. You may need to return to the God who gave you the dream in the first place. Find your faith renewed in His promises. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If God is for me, who can be against me? We have hope. A new day will bring breakthroughs. Your aspirations will be affirmed by new powers, and people that God will send your way. It has not brought you so far only to abandon you. He's simply preparing you for level 7. Level 7, the dream comes true. Stunning success is bestowed upon your praying, your possibility, thinking, your patience, and your pain. You have arrived. The business is established. The career is firmly grounded. Now be prepared for surprises. The disappointments, honors, as well as hurts will come unsought and invited. Enthusiastic applause will come from the supporters. However, when you have reached the top of the mountain, you will also be noticed by your competitors. Jealousy will swing against you. Opponents and envious will lash out for you. You will be prepared because you will have already been scarred in the climb upward. You are a veteran. You are a seasoned mountain climber. Your problem will not be arrogance or destructive pride, but maintaining the self-confidence that what you have done has been right, honorable, noble, and good. I have often had to tell the youthful dreamer that possibility thinking does not lead to haughty pride. By the time the dreamer has succeeded, the quality of humility will be so deeply entrenched in his personality that his modesty will be honest. When your positive pride is rooted in the grace and godliness, goodness of God, your humility is guaranteed. Yes, the process of success has carried you to the top. This must be the last level of evolution of the dream, right? Wrong. The dreamer has been shaped by the dream. The dreamer has arrived now at the